Now, the measurement of progress is according to about 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which came into operation 2 years ago, almost 2 years. By 2030, all countries of the United Nations are supposed to achieve these Sustainable Development Goals. They apply to the so-called developed countries as well as to the so-called underdeveloped countries. All of us are supposed to achieve these goals. Now, one of the problems that the craft sector has been facing is that despite the fact that India has the largest resource of craft wisdom and knowledge in the world, government attitudes have changed dramatically under so-called liberalization and globalization market system. And a new attitude has come which is very different to the attitude that was built up during the freedom struggle, during the post-independence period, where India was the first country to include crafts in centralized planning. So you had people like Ashoke Chatterjee, Mrs. Jayakars, all the great people who have brought us to where we are now in the crafts. About 10 years ago, those of us working in the sector found that attitudes had suddenly changed. Maybe not suddenly, but they had changed. And this sector was described by very powerful people in planning as sunset industry, meaning, and that was a very sharp lesson for us, because in a country in which crafts had been central to the freedom struggle, crafts had been central to development after we became independent, why has this changed? And the attitude was, as we've just heard, that mental attitude was crafts are about the past. Now India wants to be a global power. So forget all this nonsense. It's all about mechanization. It's all about large industries. It is all about IT. So we asked a question. Entire IT industry is about 3 million people today. Hope is that it can provide 1 million jobs a year as the year progresses. But this sector, the hand sector, including handloom and handicrafts, even the President of India has said this is the second largest source of Indian livelihood after agriculture. So how can you describe this as sunset? And at that time we found out that the problem, perhaps, I'm not sure, but it seems to be this is the main reason why attitudes changed, is that our economic data for hand production in India is hopeless. And that's why these Sustainable Development Goals become so important. Because according to the Government of India's official figures, there are 13 million artisans in the country, of whom 6 to 7 million are weavers, the rest are other artisans. According to those of us who work in the field, the minimum number is 75 million, and some people say, including the past president of Microsoft, that the figure should be about 250 million. So where is 13 million and where is 250 million? As a result of this gap, and also a kind of feeling that young people don't want to work in the crafts, people are leaving the crafts, so what is the use of investing in a sector which is dying? Which is also wrong. The only statistics that we have had which are valid are export statistics. The Export Promotion Council for Handloom and Handicrafts has got strong statistics. Those statistics should also have told the Government of India that even during the time of the world recession, the demand for Indian handmade products is going straight up. So where is the sunset? At least try and analyze this global demand for handmade quality, for which India is the largest resource in the world. So if nothing else works, at least exports should get into your head. But exports is the icing on the cake. It is not the cake. The biggest market is India's own. And we are now working with the government to get strong data for this sector. The first time after independence that artisans were included in the economic census of India, the first time after independence. was in 2013. As a result of people like us making a noise and getting it into this. Now, that is not enough, because economic census is only economic establishments, and the number of weavers and artisans is much more than that. So we are working on this. But to change this mindset that handicrafts is about the past and not about the future, it is important for the government to understand that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals to which India is a signatory, and every 6 months India has to report to the UNDP, what progress we are making towards that 2030 agenda. Out of those 17 goals, only this industry can address as many as 12. No other industry can do that. And these goals include livelihood, they include environmental sustainability, they include reaching out to people who are still at the margins of society. And most Indian artisans are at the margins of society. Tribal communities, women, minorities. Then the need for non-agricultural, rural livelihoods to prevent the tragedies of migration into city slums. The list goes on. And also, this is very interesting, one of the Sustainable Development Goals is about decent work conditions and decent living conditions. What does this word decent mean? If you're living in a slum and working in a crowded factory, consuming polluted air, that's not decent. So all these arguments, including your sense of identity and self-worth, are also measurements of progress. So we have an opportunity now to say that the 2030 agenda, which is about the future of this planet, the handmade sector is central to it, not in the margins anywhere. It is absolutely in the center. So even if we don't use the arguments that Gandhiji and Gurudev Tagore used 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, there are now new arguments which are even more powerful than getting rid of the British. They are now about saving the planet and saving ourselves. So the 2030 agenda is what we are trying to get the government of India to understand, that please look at the handmade industry in this new context to which you are a signatory. And after China and India, we are the two biggest signatories in the world to this agreement. So if we can together demonstrate what the artisan contributes to national well-being, it will be huge. Simultaneously, we must build up our data, because today if you ask, what is the handmade sector contributing to the Indian economy, nobody knows. All the figures are weak or incorrect or bogus. So that's the importance of this sector. It does not mean that, for example, the powerloom sector has no place. It does not mean that the mills have no place. What we are asking is, all three sectors of the textile industry are legitimate, but do not sell powerloom fabrics as handmade. And educate the Indian consumer so that she understands that the handloom fabric is a great product, not to be bought cheap, but to be invested in.